Okay, let's take a look at accounts payable again, because there's a couple items there that I think we didn't handle correctly. Okay, here it says the totals of the debit sides of prepaid insurance accounts payable and property tax were understated. I read that as just the totals were understated, but if it's only the debit side, then that means if the debit side was understated, then instead of increasing the amount by $100, assuming it was the balance was understated, meaning the normal balance, it was the debit side. So we need to delete that 100 and then add that in over here. So we had 210 plus 100. So now we've got decreases of 210 and 100. Okay, now also there was this issue on number 5 of $520. A $520 purchase of supplies on account was debited to equipment for $520 and credited to cash for $520. Well, if that was made on an account, then also within accounts payable, we need to increase that by the $520. Okay, and once we do that, I'll slide over a little bit here, or let me shrink one of these for a little bit. Okay, maybe I better slide would be a better way. Once we do that, boy, let me get this right, you guys. Apologize. Here we go. Once we do that, then we see that the accounts payable balance, this line here, goes to $4,710, and that's the correct amount. Okay, now the next item we want to look at is the sterling capital, and let me slide this back again. And it talks. We started off with 11,700, and it said a 1,000 drawing by the owner was debited to M Sterling Capital and credited to cash for $1,000. Okay, now we already put the drawing in for $1,000. The credit to cash was correct, but we need to make sure that that debit to drawing was offset. We need to correct the error that was debited to capital, so we add back that $1,000. Okay, and then once we do that, we need to compute the new capital balance. So instead of that being an 11,700, we take the 11,700 we start with, and we add in that 1,000 adjustment we made. Okay, now let's slide this back, because I think we also didn't handle service revenue correctly. All right, what do we know about service revenue? Let's see if we can find. We had an adjustment here of $270. There was a transposition error in service revenue based on the correct balance of $2570. $2570 in accounts receivable and $6960 in service revenue. All right, now over here we already corrected for that, and the $6960 versus the $6690. Let's see if that was an issue at all. Transposition error. Hang on. Oh yes. Okay, so what we did is we took care of the fact that the debit balance should have been a credit balance, but then we need to make that so that the correct balance is $6960, not $66,960. So I think we simply have to move this to the other side and then compute the new balance, or yeah, and that'll come up with $6960. Okay. All right, and there's our $6960, which is now correctly stated. Okay, then on advertising expense, cash payment of $450, advertising was debited to advertising expense for $45 and credited to cash. So in this case, we misinterpreted that as well. The advertising expense was debited for $45, and it should have been for $450. So instead of a credit, this needs to go as a positive adjustment. And then let's slide this over and we'll recompute the balance. So we take that debit balance plus the 405. And now at that point, everything's stated correctly. And look, our debits do equal our credits. And that's what we needed to do on this problem. So as you can tell, this is more of a complex problem. And I struggled a little bit, and I apologize for that. And I think what happened was I got a little bit confused with the way this was written, and I misinterpreted some of the changes. But this is one of the more challenging types of accounting problems that our text covers. So I want to thank you, everyone, and I hope you found this brief demonstration beneficial.